All right, so let's talk about some big breaking news. Trump just landed in China, in Beijing, and there's a lot going on right now. Now, the public is going to tell you about one thing, Iran, trade, and just so many other things with relations and many other global issues that just sound okay, but really behind the scenes, something else is going on. And if you've been following me for a long time, you guys know that we're in a process of dismantling the old guard and making this new sort of order. So today I want to talk a little bit about what's happening, what we know so far. What has Trump said? What is he alluding to as being some of the goal that's happening? And then just hypothesize some things as per Q and many other things. So let's get into it. So Trump, prior to departing, was asked a couple of questions about President Xi and then China. Now, a lot of people understandably are asking about Iran and some of the resolutions there. So this is what he had to say.
Mr. President, what is your message to President Xi as it relates to the Iran war?
Well, I think number one, we're going to have a long talk about it. I think he's been relatively good, to be honest with you. You look at the blockade, no problem. They get a lot of their oil from that area. We've had no problem, and he's been a friend of mine. He's been somebody that we get along with. And I think you're going to see that good things are going to happen. This is going to be a very exciting trip. A lot of good things are going to happen.
Now, what's ironic is just a little bit later, when he was asked about Iran and President Xi again, he actually said the opposite. Now, here's where it gets interesting, where somebody asked directly, what is your ultimate goal for your trip to China?
President, what is the ultimate goal of your trip to China?
I think more than anything else is we have massive relationships with China. We're the two superpowers. We're the strongest nation on earth in terms of military. China's considered second, who knows? I mean, who knows? But we are. There's nobody even to come close. And you see that whether it's Venezuela or whether it's Iran. Iran's military is decimated. I have a great relationship with President Xi, and I think it's going to remain that way. We have a lot of things to discuss. I wouldn't say Iran is one of them, to be honest with you, because we have Iran very much under control. We're either going to make a deal or they're going to be decimated. So one way or the other, we win.
What about
But we're going to be talking with President Xi about a lot of different things. I would say more than anything else will be trade.
Now listen to what he said there. At first he said that he's going to have a lot to talk about with Iran, but then he says that he won't have a lot to talk about with Iran. And then he diverted to talking about trade. Now remember, what's interesting is that he's giving us clues behind what will actually happen, but at the same time, there's a public optics smokescreen type of play or theater that he has to do. Because remember, we have world security, we have world peace, we have the global deep state cabal, whatever it is, watching, and he has to do things in a certain way. Remember, back on March 26th, this is what he had to say about his trip to China to meet President Xi. First, that it was being postponed due to the Iranian conflict, but also that later in the year, they're going to have a reciprocal visit in DC. But also, he says, our representatives are finalizing preparations for these historic visits. Now again, here he says historic visits in capital letters. I look very much forward to spending time with President Xi in what will be, I'm sure, a monumental event. And again, those are in capital letters. Thank you for your attention to this matter. And Trump, throughout the last couple of months, have continually said that opening the Strait of Hormuz will make China happy. That again, the meeting with China will be a special one and potentially historic, constantly reiterating looking forward to his trip to China, which is, quote, an amazing country with a leader, President Xi, respected by all. Great things will happen for both countries. He's positive, he's optimistic, and he's saying things in a way that is going to free up or benefit both countries. Now, this is where a lot of people are reporting on some of the leaders and what's going to happen, but he apparently is taking a lot of CEOs, tech giants, and financial and U.S. big company behemoths on his trip. They're not directly on the Air Force One, but they're going to apparently meet there. But here he reiterates having the NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang, along with Elon Musk, who were both on the flight, as well as many other names. And specifically, he's saying that he's going to open up, and this is in quotes, quote unquote, open up China so that these billion people can work their magic and help bring the People's Republic to an even higher level. And here there's 17 CEOs that was presented on multiple networks. Fox here is what I'm showing. But of course, if you know, 17. But at the same time, this is interesting because again, it's being framed as trade. And even though he landed in the evening local time, there has been a lot of fanfare. Here he got some kind of red carpet treatment. He had people waving flags. He had a whole slew of things for him, as I think this is the U.S. ambassador to China was greeting him. He wasn't, again, greeted by Xi Jinping himself, but other delegates. This is just the first evening. Tomorrow, local time, there's going to be more. But again, it's a big deal here how he's being greeted. Clandestine makes some interesting commentary. He says Trump confirms that many great business leaders are joining him on his trip, including Elon. But the most important nugget is at the bottom. Trump says he's going to ask Xi to, quote unquote, open China. Normalized relations with China are on the horizon. And given how Xi has been silent while Trump removes Chinese influence from our hemisphere and he controls the flow of much of their oil, I think the deal has already been made. Xi is standing down while Trump completes the, quote, world's most powerful reset, end quote. The fact that Trump and the world's greatest CEOs are on a trip to China means that an agreement of some sort has already been agreed to. They aren't going to negotiate. They don't plan meetings of this magnitude until things are already buttoned up. And as I hypothesized, I think we're going to see new global alliances and a change to the global order. Now, I want to take a look very quickly at QPost 140. Now, I reference this a lot when just stating this one particular line. What if China, Russia, and others are coordinating with POTUS to eliminate the new world order? But let me read actually the whole thing because there's a lot of significance that I kind of want to go over here. Wealth over generations buys power. Power over generations buys more wealth/control. More wealth/control buys countries and its people. Families combined, TRI equals New World Order. Inner TRI families will collapse. What is the keystone? What nation dominates all others? What nation has influence over most others? And here we're talking about the U.S. What is the keystone? Return to, and this is Saudi Arabia, strings cut +++, puppets +++ in shadows. Each side of the triangle controls a certain subsect of power brokers. Power brokers are also labeled as the puppets/servants. What is the New World Order? Why did POTUS receive a sword dance when visiting Saudi Arabia? What does this mean culturally? Why is this relevant? What occurred in Saudi Arabia? Now, again, if you don't know, this is just a big, huge amount of, in some sense, conspiracy all into one. But the idea here is that when Saudi Arabia was freed from the House of Saud and Mohammed bin Salman now has, in some sense, authority and freedom to do what he wants to do, but there was an assassination attempt on his life when he was here visiting the U.S., and it was a big cover-up through the Las Vegas shootings that we know it as being some single shooter, but there was more to it. You can go research and look this up. But because of that freedom and that failed attempt, they were officially freed and the bad guys and all that were captured. And if you know back then, Mohammed bin Salman also rounded up a lot of internal people in Saudi Arabia, freed them or made some deals with them, and all of that went on. And when Trump visited, this was absolutely historic because he had freed them from one side of that stool. And so this is why it says, how did POTUS remove one side of the pyramid? What did POTUS receive while visiting China? Where did POTUS dine? What is the significance? And then, of course, what if China, Russia, and others are coordinating with POTUS to eliminate the New World Order? Now, let's take a look at this line because I was curious. Back in 2017, when POTUS visited Xi and China, what happened? Remember, in his state visit, this was called a state visit plus reception, meaning that he received a special dinner, as mentioned in the Q post, but also high-value diplomatic gifts and an unprecedented cultural privileges from President Xi. And according to U.S. State Department disclosures, back then he received a porcelain dinnerware set worth, I think, $16,000 plus. And it's a custom 85-piece porcelain collection given to the First Lady Melania, and a calligraphy display worth $14,000. And both of these things are very, very historic. They have significance and meaning from a cultural perspective from China. And also that Forbidden City dinner. This is that private, tour and lavish state dinner inside the historic Beijing's Forbidden City. Again, this honor is something that no other sitting president, or no other leader for that matter, gets. He had a full military 21 formal gun salute, full red carpet greeting, cultural entertainment, and so much more. This was on par or as big as that Saudi Arabia reception. So if you're doing something like this and you have negative or bad relations with the US, you wouldn't go out of your way for political flattery, cultural soft power, intentional relationship building. This is what those gifts, what this whole action meant. The message in international relations, the financial and aesthetic scale of a gift mirrors the importance placed on the alliance. You got to remember, this was public-facing optics for the whole world to see. This relationship is good. Trump keeps saying, I have a good relationship with President Xi. The world thinks, oh, you guys are at odds. There's a hidden Cold War. But Trump and Xi have publicly, visibly portrayed and shown that there has been positive relations. So the idea here is that China, having been controlled by certain deep state powers, strings are being cut, and they are allowed to have, in some sense, geographic and localized authority. Once again, Iran, the whole oil war, all that stuff, there was in some sense, chokehold on them, but Trump has freed them from that as he is cleaning out the deep state within Iran and the control of that oil. So now with trade talks, with other future billion, trillion-dollar investments coming, there's going to be a lot at play here. There's going to be much more than meets the eye. But more importantly, apart from trade and oil and all that stuff, is that China, I believe, are in a process of being freed from the deep state because Trump is doing something about it. Same thing happened with Saudi Arabia. Same thing is happening with the US and Great Britain and the UK recently when King Charles visited. Many other things are happening behind the scenes with regards to power brokers, with regards to strings being cut. So let's see what happens with this whole trip. This is just the beginning. At the time of this recording, he literally just landed and he's probably going to go to bed, but the next couple days are going to be very interesting to say the least. So more to come, guys. If you guys want to support me, would love it if you guys can write a comment below to help engagement, like and subscribe to this channel. I want to get this out to as much people as possible. And also, if you guys want to support me in my endeavors, I am a small creator and listener supported. So if you guys want to help me, I have fundraising efforts down below, givesendgo.com/chrisyoonyt, also PayPal, Zelle, Venmo. In the meantime, as we try to grow this channel, there's a lot going on I'm doing behind the scenes. So would love it if you guys can partner with me financially. Love you guys. More to come. Talk to you guys very soon.